Hey guys, recently a lot has gone on social media regarding myself. Completely spiraled, lost my cool, I guess some will say crashed out on the internet. I want to take full accountability and just own up to the fact that I should have never ever brought something so personal onto social media. I believe that there were definitely ways that I could have handled this differently. I have been dealing with a lot behind the scenes. The stuff I've been dealing with involves my child. Seeing how everything has kind of played out, I do kind of think that this would have happened like eventually. I've always been a creator that shares my journey and my truth in a way that some may consider oversharing. I knew that I was always going to tell aspects of what has come to light. I guess today is the day to just address everything. I understand that there are a bunch of claims and narratives regarding my life that have now spread like wildfire, and there's a lot that needs to be addressed. I want to deeply apologize to those of you that I've let down. Anyone that was kind of like offended and hurt by anything has been said or shared. I want to extend also my deepest apologies to my loved ones that kind of know of the story and just are disappointed with how I've handled things. And most importantly, I really feel so horrible for my girl. She's so innocent, and to have her in the middle of this is purely heartbreaking. Again, I take full accountability for bringing this onto the internet because there are so many innocent people, especially that are kind of like intertwined in what is gone on. I can only share to a certain capacity. I really want to learn from my lesson, of course, and like I'm aware how large my platform is, and I'm aware that people will be and have been impacted by this. I don't want to violate any of YouTube's terms, and I don't want this video to get taken down. May not be able to get into the full details of everything, but I'll do my best to kind of elaborate as much as I can. I'm aware that there are audio recordings of my child's father. I'm not sure if he was aware that he was being recorded or if he consented to be recorded. Just for legality reasons, I think it's like a crime to record to like share to a third party. To kind of get around that, I might like alter the audio, and also as well, it's someone else's recordings, so I don't want to share the audio and it hurts my channel or anything like that. I'm really not here to kind of escalate any situation or go back and forth with anyone or talk badly about anyone. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to acknowledge my actions and clarify any claims, any narratives for myself and of course for my daughter. I moved to New York in like 2022. I created like this docu-reality style series for my channel as a passion piece. If you've been following me for a while, I am very tapped into my creative side, always trying to kind of like push myself creatively. I was in the city vlogging a bunch, and I wanted to kind of showcase my life in New York. Even though the vlogs were curated to some degree, the events that took place in my life at the time were real events. So if I got surprised for a date, I'm literally just about to season the chicken. He texts me, get ready for 8. I booked 2 Tom. That actually happened. And if I got stood up for a date, this is the same glass I had last night when my man stood me up, but it's absolutely fine. Some tell people that. No, he did, it's real. That actually happened. Everything that happened really happened in my life. I had just moved, I was hanging out with friends, I was showcasing my dating life, and just in general, I was exploring New York. The 1303 vlogs were actually inspired by my birth date. So I'm born on the 13th of March. There were 3 seasons, 13 episodes in each season. And each vlog was 13 minutes and 3 seconds long. And I would typically post these vlogs every day for 13 days. And then I would take 13 days off.
I gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day I die, I'ma touch the sky. Gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day I die.
So So it was very much a passion project for me. It was something fun for me to do creatively while I was in the city. What I ended up doing was like shooting a bunch of content and then chop these vlogs down to 13 minutes and 3 seconds long. And of course, a big spoiler alert for those of you that have not seen the vlogs, I announced my pregnancy in the last chapter of the vlog series. I really try my best to be as responsible as I can when I'm creating content. Even though this series was about my real life, I have always tried my best to respect people's privacy, and that might look like blurring out a location sticker on a fridge. And what I do sometimes is shorten the chain. Usually like it's super long. I like tie this inside like this, like that. And then if it meant that I had to use code names to talk about people and things that were happening in my life, that's what I did. And then Mr. Man, I told you guys the other day, like, we're not speaking. Well, we weren't speaking for like 2-3 days. Now he knows like I'm going home. He's like, he wishes I wasn't going home because like we've established now like we're friends. And if it meant that people were uncomfortable with their likeness and identity to be shared on the platform, I would do my best to follow their desires. This is actually something I've always done throughout my journey on YouTube. I have family members that are sometimes not okay with being in my vlogs, but they're okay with like me sharing what's happening in the moment. I have friends that are okay with being in my vlogs, but might not want me to share certain aspects of their personal life. I know we've got into a day and age where social media is almost like a part of our everyday lives. I do think it's important to acknowledge that there are a lot of people in the world that are not comfortable with having their life out there on a platform for people to judge. Just because I'm okay with it, don't feel like it's ever right or appropriate to have that kind of same attitude enforced onto people. And I think it's always nice to have a happy medium, and I don't want it to just be applied to people that are just everyday civilians. There have been times in the past where I'm around celebrities or other influencers that just don't want to be on camera. Sometimes they don't want to deal with like comments about them being in the vlog. In those situations as well, I just navigate and adapt. If I'm around people that are okay with being on camera and they consent to it, then they're on camera. It's just as simple as that. And I think it's important to note that protecting people's privacy can go to the extent of disguising what their voice might sound like as well, especially if they have somewhat of a unique voice. I want to acknowledge that I've done this whilst vlogging with my child's father. What bread did you get?
Whichever bread.
Oh, I usually eat brown bread.
Oh, brown?
I want to just highlight that I have done this in the past, and I've done it with my own sister.
For this car, my God, thank you for giving my sister condition to even be able to afford it. My Lord, give me wisdom in Jesus' name.
Amen. Okay, guys, let me just... So I think I was in New York for about 2 weeks initially, just like vlogging my life and experiencing my life in real time. I had so much footage that I kind of came up with this idea to create somewhat of a series. This was completely untraditional for YouTube. This was a new creative angle for me, going away from what I was typically doing on the platform. Again, if you've been following me for a while, I felt like there was remnants of like an ode to my old vlogging channel. You know, that was a series too. I was in one of the most creative cities in the world. I was really trying to push my creative boundaries. Chapter 1 of the series really focused on moving into the city, spending time with friends, adapting to like being by myself in the city as well. Aspects of my dating life, showcasing both failed and successful dating attempts. Chapter 2 kind of delves into a more introspective side of things, so my thoughts on love, my self-image, attachment style, and how it impacted relationships. When I think about chapter 3, it was really about recalibrating and navigating the unexpected things that life kind of throws at you. So for example, I ended up going back home for a little bit, saying goodbye to someone I was once dating, and of course, spoiler alert, I announced my pregnancy. And again, even though these vlogs were created to tell a story, the events that took place were things that actually happened in my real life. Towards the end of the series, I tied everything up by kind of talking about my pregnancy and my plans ahead with my baby and I guess new family. I met my child's father a few months before the 1303 vlogs went live. We both were actively exploring our options, dating other people, and we were pretty transparent with each other about that. Our connection was definitely non-exclusive. We presented our affection towards each other in a very romantic way. These gestures were authentic based on how we were feeling at the time.
Take a sip. It's for memories. I can't believe you got me more flowers, guys. He's too sweet.
I mean, he took me out on dates. He's mad at me because he tried to do something nice, but I told him when we first met, I don't do well with surprises. And he says, well, I love surprises, so I'm going to surprise you anyway. I cooked for him. I'm stressed. He's going to get naked on your jacket. He won't be able to come out. We were like lovey-dovey, kissy-kissy.
Yeah, that's what I got from you.
And we were pretty much enjoying each other's time. Spent Christmas together. We hung out at a hotel together. I never told nobody that I did that. So if I was ever going to be a psycho and they was going to like look, if I was ever a psychopath and they look back and like, what was the turning point where she could have been a psychopath? That was it. Do you know why? I had no empathy for him at all. I did not care that happened. I was just like, I had to save myself. There were points that like even my viewers were kind of questioning like where things were kind of going. For the most part, like when I met him, I really didn't want to jump into anything heavy. As I was like getting to know him and stuff, I started to like learn new stuff about myself, and I think that's the great thing about dating in general. Like you really get to learn things you like, things you don't like, and you won't really know unless you like put yourself out there. You know, I never knew where it was gonna go or anything, but I was just like enjoying my time, and I was happy to share my experience because like I'm not gonna lie, like I was having such a good time. But this was not like a boyfriend or a partner or anything like that. This was someone that I really enjoyed spending time with. Yes, we were casual, non-exclusive. We both knew the boundaries and where we stood. And I think this is like one of the most important factors here. Even though we were dating, we were actually really good friends at one point. My child's father was unaware of my platform and what I did. He didn't really understand it to its true capacity because when we first kind of connected, I told him I was in PR and marketing. That is something that I always tell people when I start dating them. I don't go in with like, hey, I'm a YouTuber, I'm an influencer, I have a platform. Side note, I'm actually really embarrassed sometimes to tell people that I do YouTube. So this is not something that I kind of like led with. And I only say this to say all his gestures were not influenced by who I was and what I did. Just want you guys to kind of bear that in mind. Now, because we actually had a really good friendship, like I genuinely cared for him at one point and he genuinely cared for me. He supported me like any of my friends in New York would. Like I was very focused on working again, and he was really supportive of that. You know, he would try and like make plans to do stuff, you know, helicopter ride, and it's like mad cloudy, and a lot of those plans kind of went to shits because I don't know, it just wasn't really thought out. And I think if you are a content creator, being in stressed, surprised environments and whatever is not the best time to kind of create content. So there was actually one point, if I remember correctly, where I actually told him like, don't worry about all these surprises and all these like things. I got to a place with creating content where I actually enjoyed experiencing things in real time. So I wasn't like so like dog hungry for content. Like I didn't like care like that. It was just like, if I'm gonna film today, then I would film. If I didn't film, I didn't film. I think all my vlogs are just so much better when it's just like me by myself. When there's like too many moving parts, I'm not as intentional with creating. The great thing about today's day and age is that social media is actually a real-time job for people, especially if you are starting out on social media. The best thing you can do is have people around you that understand your work, basically.
You got 99 problems and the biggest one is me. Yeah, exactly. I'm 5'3" and I can say that. Exactly.
In any field that you work in, if you have someone that understands what you do for a living, it helps a ton.
He got 99 problems and the biggest one is me. He got all of these little bitches and the biggest one is me. That's like I'm working. Pussy good. Check. You know that pussy good. Check.
I'm a freelancer at the end of the day, and sharing aspects of my life online is something that I do for work, and this is what I've done for many years. My child's father at the time wasn't the only person that understood my line of work while I was in New York. I had my girlfriends out in the city who actually took me out on dates, kind of competed with each other on who had the best date for me when I was out there. Creating content is not something that I enforce on people. I'm naturally introverted. I love being off the camera, especially nowadays, now that I'm a mum. I'm someone that's nostalgic, sentimental. I love capturing memories. It's one of my favorite things ever. And I love looking at the journey, and I love that a part of my adult life has been captured in certain ways. For me, it's just a way for me to kind of express myself creatively. Sometimes when I'm going through stuff, I put everything, all the emotions that I feel in my work, and I kind of let it go once I press upload. It kind of serves as therapy at times. 1303 was huge therapy for me, and it kind of sucks that it's being reduced to something else, but I digress. As a creator, I've always kind of enjoyed content online where people are kind of sharing their life in a somewhat authentic way. Good, bad, ugly, like I love that type of content, and I think for me, I get inspired by that authenticity. So I try and emulate that as best as possible, but I understand that you can't share every single thing that goes on in your life. So just to kind of touch on me and my child's father's relationship dynamic, we were very transparent with each other about what we were kind of getting up to. He knew I was dating other people. I knew that he was also dating other people. Because we were actually friends as well, I could talk to him on a level about pretty much everything. And the thing is as well, I'm actually quite forthcoming like that when I date people. Like, I'm like weirdly honest in ways. So like, I would share with the guy I'm dating that I just went on a date the night before. We got to a place where we would talk about what we had going on with each other, and he actually let me know that he was gonna go on a trip with someone. Even though we may be in a different place today, me and my child's father have always had a very playful relationship. Tag in your it. It was definitely hot and cold too, but it was just extremely playful. And so there was one evening, I think after a few drinks, he let me know, because he was trying to be transparent with me, he let me know that he was actually gonna go upstate on a trip. When he had let me know, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like a trip with someone, that sounds like, you know, he's really feeling this young lady. And he kind of let me know like it's not that, like they had planned it ages ago. And I remember him expressing that he didn't want to like disappoint this young woman. I remember being like absolutely okay with him going on the trip. I had a few drinks and I was like extremely confident, and I said to him, you can go on the trip, but you're taking me first so you could take her after. I remember saying something like that. From what I remember about how everything went down, I think he had cancelled a few times before he had told me for sure. I remember that. I think it was offered that she could go with a friend and she kind of said no. And because the trip was non-refundable, he ended up saying he'll give the trip to somebody else. I just remember that the trip was booked at another date. But to be very honest, once he had told me that he was going on a trip, that actually inspired me to go on a trip of my own. And I was in New York at the time, and so I remember going to Jersey a few times. I was actually dating somebody in Jersey. Hey guys, I'm in New Jersey. And I remember letting him know about that as well. I was connecting with someone in Jersey City that I was fond of, and I also was connecting with my now current partner, Destin. And he doesn't drink, so he doesn't even know the extremes of what 2 margaritas can do to you. Destin and I would talk every single day, and I was really enjoying our connection. And that's when I kind of realized that I was in a place where like I was ready to kind of like make more of like a genuine connection. You know, I feel like me and my dad's connection started to kind of fizzle out. I was moving from Brooklyn to Harlem, and I wanted him to kind of help me kind of move, you know, my bags and stuff, because I wanted to explore like a different neighborhood in New York City. I guess from there we decided to just kind of cool off what we were doing but still be friends. Because I was going back to London, I didn't think I was ever gonna like talk to him again, but I really did enjoy my time with him. Remember us making a plan to kind of like meet up one last time before I left the city. And because I don't want to be a whore, I'm gonna put the shackle on. I have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
You look sexy, buddy.
Thank you, honey. Okay, let's roll out. We're late for our booking. We're going to our first date place. And just kind of like say our goodbyes. Because we were in Harlem, we went back to our first date place and we had some drinks. We enjoyed our evening. Like after kind of catching up and kind of clearing the air, things started back up. I still at the time wasn't sure if we were back on, but I remember the next day we were kind of like really warm to each other. Guys, I got mac and cheese on the house. It's not funny. They forgot it, so where's your flash? And so we grabbed some food and he dropped me to the airport. Once I got back to London, I thought like maybe that was it, you know? He had a contact for one of my friends and he reached out to that friend and asked them if they could kind of help get me flowers to like surprise me. Once he surprised me with the flowers, I was kind of like taken aback because it was such a sweet gesture. Getting flowers for me was one of my favorite things. You know, when he picked me up, when I had first moved to New York, he had picked me up from the airport with a bouquet of flowers. And there was one night where he was trying to make up for upsetting me. He surprised me with flowers, and I guess like these flowers was another sweet gesture. It was just a really kind gesture, and I think at that point I reached out to him to say thank you. I was like, this is so sweet. And he knew that I was going to be back in the city. He kind of was just like, yeah, I want you to be back in the city for Valentine's Day. And when I was back in the city, he picked me up from the airport, and the following day he surprised me with the cabin trip away. Honestly, he texted me just now and he's like, pack your bag, we're going on a getaway. And I'm like, oh my gosh, when I was literally just about to unpack. And then he says 24-hour notice, shrug. Because I told him, if you're ever gonna plan anything with me, I need 24-hour notice. But I'm like, oh my God. Now, I had completely forgot about the trip he had mentioned a month before, but when he had surprised me, I was really excited and like just thrown back, because I was like, first of all, you knew this was happening and like didn't prepare me to bring like the right attire, number one. So I was like, okay. I feel like for me, I was like really excited to do something new and explore a different part of the United States. Can't touch me, not, I got everybody saying,
icy? Very icy. Thanks for the warning.
Obviously, looking back now, I know that we had conceived our baby the night before we went on that trip. So I was already pregnant. So maybe it was the early pregnancy hormones that like just made me super irritated, because I think I remember crying like 3 times in the trip. Like, even though I was trying to make the best of the trip, we were really annoying each other as well. So I'm going back to London. It's been fucking real, mate. When we were driving back, it was like a 2-hour drive. We didn't say one word to each other. I remember saying in a vlog that I put my headphones in my ears because the silence was so loud.
On the 2-hour drive back from the cabin, we didn't speak one word to each other. We drove in silence, and eventually I had to put my headphones on to drown out how loud the silence was. Usually I initiate conversations to get us back to a good place, but this time it was different. And that's when I knew I was grateful for the experience. I just no longer cared.
Once I had got back and I landed, I remember having a conversation with my girlfriend, because she actually, an old girlfriend, because she actually picked me up from the airport. We were actually discussing the message that I would send him to kind of say goodbye. I remember us being in Costa in like the Heathrow airport, and we was drafting up.
It doesn't make sense. Like, I understand if it was like you and Mrs. I understand like dead in it if it's like a situation like that, like, but if it's a thing where someone just took you on a trip, you can't just let it like that. You can't.
Okay, if that's the case, then just gonna abandon it.
I'm just gonna be like,
hey, just wanted to let you know I've landed back in London, and I know our last few moments weren't the best, but I want you to know I'm grateful for everything. I wish you the best in everything you do. God bless.
keep it there, right? Because I feel like that's classy, that's nice, and that's like the type of person I am anyway.
I'm someone that typically likes to end relationships on a really good note. I try and do this with like friendships and people I date and relationships and whatnot. And to be very honest, I'm actually still pretty cool with most people I've dated in my past. If I don't really like talk to people anymore, it's because like things went so left. I don't know, like when I enjoy my time with someone, I really don't like things like being, I didn't know whether I was like too harsh. Like someone just took me on a trip and I land and I say, you know what, like I wish you the best. Like I just kind of felt like, I don't know if I was like too mean. So I just kind of reached out to see if like we were still cool. And so once I got that text message, I was like, oh, that's nice. That's good to know. That's fine. I think it was about 3 weeks after the cabin trip, I had a dream. I was basically embracing a new baby. And this is actually something I've shared on my channel before. I ended up doing a pregnancy test and I found out I was pregnant. Because me and my child's father ended things quite amicably, because we were like actually cool, when I had found out I was pregnant, even though I had plans to raise this baby on my own, I knew that he would want to be in this child's life. When I found out I was pregnant, Destin was actually one of the first people I called, and I told him that I don't think we can date anymore because I'm pregnant. I remember him asking me if the dad knew, and I remember replying like, no, he doesn't know, and I'm not going to tell him because I'm raising this baby by myself. I did seek out other male counsel. They all pretty much said the dad deserves to know. A lot of the male counsel that I had reached out to really stressed to me that a child really deserves to have their father in their life, and I can't rob the child of that experience by not telling the dad. I ended up sending a pregnancy test to my child's father because I'm very familiar with his antics. Like, if he didn't respond to me straight away, he was gonna try and avoid me. I also had this feeling that he was thinking that I was trying to get attention from him, which is very annoying to even think about, because when we did end up having a conversation about the pregnancy, I literally said to him, do you really think I'm that desperate for your attention and that I would fake a pregnancy test to get your attention? If I wanted your attention, I'd send you a nude, not a pregnancy test. I remember rallying up my girlfriends and letting them know what was going on, and I just said, please, can you guys like reach out, because I don't think he thinks this is real. Because I was trying to do the right thing, now I'm being kind of made to feel like shit. And so I remember we jumped on the call and it was like a lot of back and forth happening because we both didn't kind of like expect this. And I remember saying to him, if you don't want anything to do with this child, give me all your doctor information, write a letter to this child, and we'll call it a day so I don't have to like answer any further questions. He then responded back to me with kind of like upset, like, what type of person do you think I am? I am a man at the end of the day. He was trying to really emphasize that he takes care of his responsibilities, and basically round up what he was saying, if you have no desire to let me be a part of this, why even tell me in the first place? And I was like, I'm trying to do the right thing. Towards the end of the conversation, he says he's gonna let his mum know and he's gonna call me back. He calls me back about 20 minutes later and he's like, is this like for real? Like, are you actually not playing a prank? Like, is this April Fool's or something like that? And it's like, this is March, by the way. I wanted like information regarding his blood work and stuff like that because I am a sickle cell trait. So I was also trying to be super considerate for my child. And in this conversation, he lets me know that he is absolutely on board. I'm aware that there is audio out there of him kind of talking about this whole experience. And so I think where things have gone, it's so damaging to so many innocent people that are involved. And I'm talking about the children in this. I don't really want to do the whole sharing of audio and expose and all of that, because I think where things have gone right now, I can't engage in it. At the end of the day, I have a child with this person and I know that my child will be impacted by this. So I really have to walk a very fine line. In this phone call, he says that he is completely on board. After the phone call, we text a little bit and he said he's excited for this experience, I believe. Soon after that, it's my birthday and he wishes me a happy birthday, asking me for forgiveness. And throughout my pregnancy, he is expressing his excitement for baby Maya. I had already told him that I had a dream that the baby was going to be a girl. At the end of the day, where I was at in this moment was that even though we went together, we made our baby with the feelings that we once had for each other. I remember while we were dating, I was really trying to be considerate while I was dating other people. And I remember asking him if he had feelings for me because I didn't want things to get too murky and like his feelings gets hurt while I'm connecting with other people, so on and so forth. From my own past, when I've dated people, like sometimes I just move on with my life so freely thinking about me. At the end of the day, regardless of where me and my child's father stand now, I genuinely believe that, especially with God showing me Maya was a gift for me. I've always been someone that has really loved the idea of being a mother. I know some women dream about their like wedding day. I always spent my whole life dreaming about the day I would become a mother. To me personally, I've always done things quite unconventionally, untraditionally, I don't know, but the idea of raising a baby on my own would never scare me. That actually sounds like something I'm more likely to do than actually sit down and like have a whole family and like do things like the traditional way. Not to knock that, obviously. My daughter is 100% God sent. She was wanted from the very beginning. I loved her from the moment I conceived her. She's my life. She's my everything. I can't even express how in love I am with my child. I know that my child's father was kind of thrown off of the fact that I had this idea that she was going to be a girl. I truly believe there were so many reasons why God showed me Maya multiple times throughout my pregnancy, and I really trusted him through and through. I think as we progress, the testimony will become clearer and clearer. Even though I was really excited to be expecting, I acknowledged that my mood was changing drastically. And I remember expressing to my former friend that I felt very isolated and alone. Honestly, she did the best she could have done to support me in this moment. One day I started bleeding really intensely. The bleeding, the cramping, it was truly so traumatizing. Like, it was just splash, splash, splash. And I was with my former friend at the time. My child's father was on the phone and he was distressed, and it was a lot for all of us. He was telling my friend at the time, please get her to stop crying, and she was hiding her tears because she was comforting me. We ended up going to the hospital.
I've never prayed so hard in my life. I called Dad and I told him. He told his mom, and he said everything's gonna be alright. I'm scared though. I love this baby so much.
But because the department was closed, we just basically had to wait until the next day when they were open. Came the next day, waited for like 5 hours all day. I didn't even know at this point if my baby had made it or not. And that is when I find out I could have been potentially pregnant with twins.
I'm just wondering if there's a little second pregnancy sac inside, but I can't see a second embryo inside that because it's on top. I think we'll get clearer images on the tummy scan.
The doctor did advise that we would have to wait until our 12-week scan. I don't know, I was hoping for the best, but we didn't know. We was gonna find out at the 12-week scan. Jesus Christ. At this point, my child's father is extremely happy that Maya is okay. After we got back from the doctors, I started to feel really confused because even though I had lost one baby, I was still expecting. So I felt like I truly couldn't mourn that baby. I remember just feeling depressed, but I was really trying to be happy. I knew after that moment how important this child was to me, and it was almost like a huge wake-up call. It was a wake-up call to how much I really, really love my child, regardless of anything, regardless of who my child's father was, regardless of how guilty I felt. I loved this baby so much. So much. I just remember thinking that I am gonna do whatever I can to protect this child, but I also couldn't ignore. I didn't really want to do much. I was really irritable. I was really annoyed. I was so hormonal. I was really uncomfortable. One thing I really struggled to do whenever I used to struggle mentally is reach out to people and let them know how I'm truly feeling. A couple of days after, an old friend of mine gets a message on their Instagram regarding my child's father. She kind of lets me know. I was told really early in the morning, so when this news was kind of brought to me, at first I was like, there's no way, because literally a couple of days before I was thinking, like, after everything that had gone down, the worst thing that could happen right now is someone comes to me about my child's father. When I saw this DM, I was like thinking to myself, am I actually psychic at this point? Like, I was so confused. And when I was reading the DM, it wasn't all the way clear. I remember I sent the DM to my child's father and I said, your girlfriend messaged me. I was really confused who this woman was. He was like telling me that this was a woman that he was like dating, but he doesn't talk to her anymore. And I was like, okay, but she must really like you if she's like coming to me. He was like, no, it's not like that. We were just casual. She knows where I stand. I don't know why she's writing you. She's been like trying to reach out to me and I've been ignoring her. I don't know why she would now come to you. And honestly, I had to ask him at one point, like, did you post a photo of me on your story? Because how would she find out who I am, kind of thing. And like, I think in the DM she had like mentioned that he had spoken about me, you know, briefly and so on and so forth. He basically kind of clarified who this person was. I know this might sound like a very uninteresting fact, but I just feel like it adds colors to a picture. A few months prior, when he first kind of let me know about this young woman, I think I was like scrolling on Twitter or something like that, and I saw a picture of the model Ashley Graham. Like, Ashley Graham, I'm so sorry, I'm not trying to drag you into this, but I remember seeing a picture of Ashley Graham, and I think she was wearing like a costume or something like that. And he was right next to me. Like, I was on the bed, kind of leaning over on the bed, like, and he was hovering over me. I remember him saying to me, the girl that I went on the date on the other day, that's what she looks like. When we had this conversation, I was like, oh shit, really? And he was like, yeah, like, she looks like that. And I don't date women anymore. I used to date women, but I do find women attractive. Because we were also friends too, I was like, oh, okay. Like, when the woman approached me, she looked nothing like Ashley Graham. So I was really confused who this woman was. I'm only telling this part of the story because I still to this day don't know why he said that to me. More so as well, I was like, is this your girlfriend? Like, at this point, my world started spinning because I was like, this man told me this woman looks like Ashley Graham and she doesn't. She's telling me that they're just casual, but she's messaging me. I know when you're like casual dating people, you might not be really forthcoming with certain things. Sometimes you might tell like a polite lie every now and again. But at this point, I was like really questioning what was going on. And I was like, because of the state I was just in already with everything that I was kind of going through, I was like, but why is she messaging me? Something is just not adding up. And so I reached out to her, she responded back to me, and we hopped on a call. Even though I was trying to remain as calm as possible, I want to be able to kind of trust the person I'm raising this child with. And at this point, he had kind of let me know everything that was like that he was getting up to, and I let him know the same. So for me, it was like, what is happening right now? I was just really in a state of confusion. And also as well, I could tell that she was nervous, and I really wanted her to feel at ease to kind of share whatever she needed to share with me. I really was under the impression that this woman was like a girlfriend or something like that, because you're coming to me to let me know, like, you must be really invested with this person, with my child's father, and things that she was like telling me just wasn't like adding up. And so I would go back to him to kind of like get the truth out, and I was spiraling. I recognized I was so like vulnerable, but I'm still trying to act like everything's fine. I was so frustrated with him because I was like, did you lead her on to the point like she feels like you guys are more than what you are. Like, why is she contacting? Because him and I were non-exclusive, even though we were super romantic with each other and really lovey-dovey. Like, we weren't together like that. Do you know what I mean? And I think I was also very kind of like open about that in my series. So I was just like, to dating, society has told us like you date in hopes to get into relationship to get to marriage. But there are people like me that just date to kind of just to go with life, you know. And I don't want to say that I'm a casual dater, because I'm not. I'm someone like, if I find someone that's like for me, I'm 100% gonna lock in with that person and like try and pursue that seriously. I don't know yet if I've met someone that's for me. He was trying to answer stuff but then still like avoiding stuff. Tensions started to get really crazy. I remember feeling really irritated because I was just like, I don't need this right now. And I also kind of let her know what I was dealing with, because I wanted her to understand that I am not in the best place right now. I, at this point, began to really spiral. And I remember calling him back and like, tell me the truth about everything. Just tell me the truth. Even though he was seeing me like literally every day back to back, there were times when we would fall out and like not speak. And I guess he expressed to me that it was these moments where he would catch up with other people he was dating. So it was never a thing where he was like seeing me and then seeing her the next day and then seeing me and then seeing her. It was literally like we were hanging out. But even with him telling me this, I did not believe him, because I was like, there is no way a woman comes to another woman that is pregnant over something that is casual. I just wanted to get to the root of like, there has to be something more than that. There has to be something more. And so I remember speaking with her again, because I was really, really trying to like, I guess like investigate. She revealed to me his status in the United States. And I was always under the impression the whole time I knew him that he had a sponsor. I was not aware that he was like married or anything like that. When I was confronting him, he was pretty much telling me the truth about everything. But when I had like confronted him about like the marriage thing, he was like, oh wait, hold on, like that is something that is like personal to me, because I think he was working on like getting a divorce. And the thing is, I don't know how the immigration laws work in the US. And mind you, I was migrating over there as well, so I was technically an immigrant. There were times when we spoke about like, you know, visa and status and stuff like that. He told me that he was sponsored, like someone was helping you with your visa. He was like, I told her that I was married, just like this throwaway conversation. It was just a lot. And I remember us having a really long conversation, heated conversation. I was definitely spiraling. I was definitely having mental breakdowns. It was really traumatic, definitely for my former friend who was trying to really contain me, because I just felt like this was just too much for me. Like, I find out I'm pregnant and I feel so alone already, and I've kind of like, I also am having this like fear that like I'm losing a baby, and I'm dealing with like these two people that are just like not telling me the truth. Things that she was saying to me just wasn't adding up. Nothing was adding up. And so the following day, I remember reaching out to her again, just to kind of inform her like everything that he kind of told me, and like just to kind of give her more context to me and his dynamic. If you guys hear my daughter, I'm sorry about that. She's playing with her grandma. And so I'm saying anything and everything to just kind of get her to feel super comfortable. And I think this is when I start getting a little bit irate. Not only was I mad hormonal, but I was already going through so much. And I just kind of felt like I wanted to get to the bottom of everything, but it was dragging on, so I was losing a little bit of patience. After talking for a little bit more, basically in a nutshell, she kind of lets me know that her and her friends had already watched a bunch of vlogs from 1303, and at this point I was like, okay, so if you knew everything, why did you feel like you had to like reach out to me? Based on what my child father had like told me about, like, she reached out to him and didn't really give him enough time to respond, and then just reached out to me. I felt like this was way too much for me to experience while pregnant. It was just way too much. Another thing as well, she had like kind of confessed to me that she was talking to other people too. And so for me it was like, okay, so if you're talking to other people, he's talking to other people, you just watched a ton of my vlogs, so you also know that I was talking to other people. Why do I need to be contacted about this? I do take accountability for like engaging with her so many times, but genuinely I was trying to put myself in her shoes, and I was just like, the only thing that would kind of drive me to kind of reach out to a woman while she's pregnant is if we had like an actual relationship. And I know everyone in life is different, 100%. And I really did believe that she was reaching out to me with good intentions, but something in my spirit felt like that wasn't the case. I felt like there was more. I felt like at one point she just wanted to get information on me, on my child's father, especially like dynamics that I hadn't really shared in my vlogs. Like, for example, in my vlogs, it was very apparent and I was very open with the fact that we are exploring and just dating, but she knew personal aspects that I shared with her. I know it's so stupid and like super naive of me. It was almost like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It felt very premeditated because I was spiraling and I was really quite literally going insane. I recorded a lot of the conversations because not only to play to him as proof, but to listen back to like make sure I was getting the details correct. I never had any intentions to kind of put out anything. It was really to actually, as a reference point, like if he ever denies anything, this is what she said. Something I've seen on social media since this story has come out is, why were you guys on calls for so long? And I think for me, I was really trying to get to the bottom of everything, and I soon found out that she was like withholding information from me. Everything I shared in the vlogs like was true to my life, and she already knew all of this. So I was like, so why are you reaching out to me? I just kind of felt like, had I known that she already knew everything, then the call would have been a 5-minute call. I never was really public that I was in a relationship at all. And I feel like my followers know me well enough. Like whenever I've been in a relationship, it's my man, like constantly, like non-stop, like everyone knows it. Like I am like love a girl down. It's actually quite pathetic at times, but I'm like an extremely passionate person. So when I'm like in that space, I am very expressive about that. I understand her wanting to do her research, but I think what really just like frustrated me a lot was that I don't feel like there was any consideration for like me and my baby. It almost felt like she was getting clarity for herself and information for herself. I know it sounds so stupid to even expect a duty of care from this random stranger, but she expressed to me that like she was like a girl's girl. She was extremely patient with me on the phone call. She also let me know her mum's a nurse and like she understood like what I could be going through with the whole bleeding thing. When I had found out that she kind of knew a lot of the information that I was kind of like telling her, the information she needed to like know who I was, I just kind of felt like, why did I just spend so much time kind of telling you stuff? And I felt so, I don't know why, guys. It just felt like a violation. I know I live my life so publicly. Imagine you are posting your life every day publicly on any social platform. Like, you meet someone that kind of knows who you are, they kind of act like they don't know much, and then you come to find out they know so much. I put my life out there, but I think for me, what makes me feel comfortable is when someone says, hey, Annie Drea, when I'm walking down the street, like they know who I am. She just came across like she didn't know anything. Like how she came to me, it was like, I had this intuition. And because I'm an intuition girly as well, I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, she was like, I had this intuition about this and about that. And then it was like, you know, she knew I wasn't with this man. And she reached out to me. And even if she says it was like things were unclear, I think just what really frustrated me was just simply that she withheld how much information she actually knew. And I'm not going to get into anything further than that. I felt really bad about how the conversation had gone with her. So it was like Good Friday, and I remember being in good spirits. You know, I have like this group chat with like a ton of friends in it, and I remember talking about the issue, and I was just like, you know what, like at the end of the day, I'm still someone with a platform. I want to kind of leave a good impression on people. If I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, maybe she was looking out for me. So I decided to reach out to her like this last time in this period. Okay, the conversation goes left, and I completely understand that she was like annoyed with the conversation. I text her like, it was good speaking with you. And I don't know whether that's like a British thing, but I know British girls get down like that, you know? I didn't expect this text message to follow, but an essay follows, and I completely understand everything apart from the part where she kind of says, you're mad that you are stuck with that man and his child. I don't think at any point children need to be dragged into any conversation, not as a dick. No, I don't think they deserve that. And again, I'm quite spiritual too, so especially babies, unborn babies, I believe that they deserve the utmost protection. And so once she dragged my child into it, I didn't even care what else it said. I just saw child. My child is not going to be reduced to an ownership because of a man. My child is a star in their own right. Dad is completely irrelevant. The father is completely irrelevant because that's my child. And I feel that way about all children. All children. It doesn't matter who your parents are. They're innocent. This text message was the portal to us now going back and forth, back and forth. And honestly, spiraling, vulnerable, hormonal. I really was trying to do everything I could to get under her skin the way she got under mine. I completely agree that I might not have handled everything in the best way. But for me, I was like, no one is going to come for my girl. If you want to diss me, if you want to diss my child's father, then fine. But to try and swing at me and diss my kid, I wasn't going for it. Especially because I don't feel like I got protection as a child. And I always said whenever I became a parent, I was going to protect my child, no matter what. Cool. I completely understand people not agreeing with my actions, but my unborn child did not deserve to get dragged into anything. When I received this text message and she blocks me, I grab my then former bestie's phone and I start texting and I start going off. And all I can think of is, you're not gonna try and play with my kid. And I'm just saying anything and anything to get under her skin. I am so sorry for anyone that have since read these messages and is like completely disappointed in me. Half of the things I don't even align with. I am so sorry if I've let you guys down. Where I was at this point was like, you are not gonna come for my kid. And while we're going back and forth, she's swinging, but she's swinging solo. Survive your first trimester before having a death match with me. Breathe life into your womb and not me. I said I was my bestie at the time. I obviously thought that she knew that it wasn't my bestie at the time, which for me at the time was complete trolling. So and so research something about like citizenship, and I was like, no, I'm gonna tell my mommy. The things I was saying was absolutely ridiculous. I have a ton of relatives that are immigrants. I have friends that are immigrants. I do not think that I am better than someone migrated from another place to another place. She is with an undocumented man. I had to remind her that you are also someone that was an immigrant. When I referenced diaspora, I was basically saying we're all black anyway. So you're not actually making a point. Making points that he can't travel outside the US. I'm like, the US is like a fun time anyway. I'm even trolling her saying like, I'm gonna make my coins and like get my money. Like I was just like saying anything I could to just ruffle her feathers. I'm not here to body shame anybody. I am like body positive. In the phone call, she had shared with me that she had started to put on weight and her partner at the time like was complaining about it. And so as she was swinging at me with information I shared with her, I swung at her with information that she shared with me. Looking back, I 100% absolutely wish I handled things a lot differently. I remember I went on Twitter and I think I tweeted something like, oh, delusional. And then someone pops up and I'm like, okay, when this woman came to me, she wanted things to be discreet. And so first of all, I was confused, like, why are you on my Twitter? Like, I didn't even know that they knew what my Twitter was because this is my new Twitter account. So I was like, you're watching my Twitter? And then that made me feel even more uncomfortable because it was like, you literally came to me acting like you didn't know nothing. So it was like, yes, I'm a public figure. Expressing to me that you went on my Instagram is one thing. Expressing to me that you watched a few YouTube clips is another thing. But then it was like these friends now were on my Twitter. It wasn't just like one tweet or two tweets. It was like a multitude of tweets. It was 3 or 4 different accounts just spamming me. And honestly, I didn't screenshot everything, but I was like, what the hell is going on? She's blocked me and now her friends are online harassing me. It was confusing to me because she claimed that she wanted things to be discreet. So now I was stuck in a rock and a hard place because I was like, I don't want to bring attention to this because I'm really trying to welcome my baby. So I'm deleting tweets as they're tweeting to me. I think I even said in the text exchange, your friends need to stop tweeting me. You wanted things to be discreet. And she goes, fuck you. I'm even more confused at this point. And again, I know I could have handled things so differently. But what do you do when it's just you and your baby against this woman swinging so low and then 3 or 4 of her posse? What did I actually do to deserve all of this? How is it appropriate for 4 people to try and like bully a pregnant woman? Around the same time, these friends are tweeting me and she's laughing with these friends. I'm tweeting like I'm bothered, like I'm not fazed, and I say I'm shopping for my baby and I get a tweet that says, as soon as I got this tweet sent to me, I deleted my tweet immediately because I was like, this is evil, negative energy for my child. And the worst thing is, even when I announced my pregnancy, I was actually expecting trolls to come for me and my child, and I was like ready. No one did any of that. But the people that were tweeting me at the same time, someone tweets from a random fucking account, and I have to say this super clear. From the minute I found out about my baby, I knew they were God sent. The narrative that is out there that I created this fake account to tweet this to myself is actually logically insane. I'm getting tweets all around the same time from all these different accounts. This woman is also engaging with these people that are tweeting at me at the same time. Throughout our text message exchange, there is a constant theme touching the sensitive information I told her about my bleeding. Also, just typically as an African, when something traumatic happens, we don't really like to focus on it too much. Like, manifestation is a real thing. Once they all kind of settle down, I call my child's father just to kind of check in on him because it's Ramadan at this point. And he lets me know that he got a text message from this young woman. I wasn't even gonna tell him. He tells me that he gets a text message about stop calling and texting her before I risk a miscarriage. I just immediately regretted engaging with this woman from the very beginning. I honestly, at this point, felt I let down my child to the highest degree. I don't know whether it's a black thing or whether it's an African thing, but we both understood the sentiment that when someone's ill, someone's sick, or someone's going through something, you don't tell people your business. And the worst thing is, my child's father actually said to me, how does she know you're bleeding? How does she know you're bleeding? And I was like, I told her. And I just felt this immense amount of guilt come over me. Like, I shouldn't have told her. I shouldn't have told her anything. To have like such sensitive information thrown back in my face while I hadn't even like processed it. After all of this, there was a bunch of tweets regarding me and my situation, my new family, so on and so forth. I was like, this is way too much. And I even let my friends know at one point that, guys, like, I don't even want to see anything anymore. Just keep your eyes out on the street because this person is like next level, like evil. And like, I just honestly couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand it. I really couldn't understand any of it. Whenever I think back to it, it was like just a reoccurring theme of like just playing with the idea of like miscarriage. Even though we were both going back and forth, she had let me know that she had gone through something similar. At no point did I use that as an opportunity to swing at her. At no point. At no point. At no point. At this point, I was like, you know what? Let me just leave it alone. Let me just focus on the baby. Let me just... So even with her just like still tweeting and stuff like that, I was really confused because she really wanted things to be discreet. And I was like, do you know what? Just Drea, just like focus, just focus. Anytime I would get wind that this woman was kind of tweeting about me or indirecting my situation or anything I had got going on, I just got triggered all over again, every single time. I wish I confronted her then about the things that she said. But I was like, you know what? She must really be hurting really badly for her to swing the way that she swung. A week before this whole ordeal, I had let my midwife know already that I was struggling with my mental health. This was like the initial pregnancy appointment, and they ask you like if you've ever had depression before, and I answered yes. She asked me if I had ever had thoughts of suicide, and I answered truthfully, which was yes. And she asked me if it was ever in my pregnancy, and I answered her again truthfully, which was yes. This was a period where I had my dogs. Taking my dogs out for walks were one of the main reasons why I would leave my house. Most of the time I just would like stay inside and just think. This is when the depression got worse. A week later, I go for a walk late at night by myself, and my former friend did ask to come with me. I just basically said to her, like, it's fine, don't worry. And so I just kind of left the house, like, kind of crying, like really upset. I was just walking up and down like the Camden streets and trying to clear my head. Because I had just moved back from New York, I was staying with family. Where my family used to stay is like on a really busy road. I remember seeing like a double-decker bus, and I just had this desire to just, as I was going to, a fox just jumped out of nowhere. And I'm scared of foxes. If you know me, you know that I'm like terrified of foxes. And so that startled me and honestly saved my life. I'm only sharing this because there are things about my mental health that have now come to light. And so I'm really gonna get into everything, just everything. That story that I just shared with you guys is the story that I ended up telling my midwife at our first initial appointment. I also went through a traumatic moment where I didn't want to be here anymore the week prior. And the event that I'm actually talking about is the event that was like talked about in one of the audio recordings with my child's father and this woman. I don't even know why I shared that with her, because I know I said it in a way that wasn't serious and as distressing as it should have been. I mask a lot, especially when I'm going through stuff. Half of my friends can never ever tell when I'm actually going through stuff. Even when I'm talking to people about things that are extremely distressing, I do not know how to say it without self-deprecating. Like, I just don't know how to do it. Whenever I'm telling people that know me what I'm feeling, I just self-deprecate. Like, I just say it like it's lighthearted, like it's not serious. But mental health issues is something that I have spoken about at great lengths throughout my time on YouTube. My midwives ended up telling me in my pregnancy that women that have had depression before are really likely to get depression again in pregnancy. As much as I was so excited to have my baby and I was looking forward to having my baby, I couldn't escape these thoughts. I just couldn't escape these thoughts. And I just kind of started to feel like, even though I wanted my baby, was this the right circumstance for her? My former best friend, I give her the most credit. It was extremely hard for her to kind of deal with. She was the only one that really knew how I was feeling a lot of the time. I feel like whenever you're going through something like pregnancy, because it's such a joyous thing, it's like people just want you to kind of be happy about it, you know? And I was really excited to meet my girl, but I just kept thinking that like there's so many like horrible circumstances that just keep happening. I knew in my heart like I wanted her. The situations was kind of pushing me to make a decision that I knew I was going to regret. I expressed this to like my former friend. I expressed this to my child father. I knew that if I was ever gonna like be pushed in a situation to kind of terminate the pregnancy, I knew I wasn't going to be able to live with myself. I knew I would not want to like do life anymore. At this time I was still in my first trimester. At this point, me and my child's father are trying to get back better, like a better place, because he wasn't able to travel out to London. it meant that I was going to New York. That might have seemed like an inconvenience to some, but I had intentions to move to New York, and New York is one of my favorite places in the world. So I felt like if we had spent time and like we're bonding and stuff, we would get into like the zone of like expecting a baby. And literally when I'd landed and we were together, like that's literally what it was. We kind of reconnected in a way that was so special at the time. I remember him saying to me, this actually feels so, so nice. We would have conversations about our future, and he proposed a plan of maybe potentially moving to DC and getting a place out there. And that was exciting to me because I was like, okay, I could bring my dogs, we could have a house. And I remember around this time, he kept teasing me and kept referencing princess cut. He knew that was like my shape design if I ever got a engagement ring. And so he would just randomly say it every now and again. Even though we spoke about like potentially like living together and whatnot, and potentially even like getting married and everything else, we spoke about it like in the future, but it was more so like the baby was the main priority. But it was something that we discussed in this period of time. While I'm in New York, we were looking to go out, and he mentioned that the flagship store at Tiffany's was opening up. And I was actually really excited because Breakfast at Tiffany's is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I'm not gonna lie, I got here like 11 o'clock yesterday, and me and Dad, I had pizza yesterday, and then after we did pizza, we came back where I'm staying. We watched Scarface. He got me tacos from Meaty Meaty, 20-minute drive, there and back, like 40 minutes. Got me birria tacos because I was like craving. I took one bite and I was full. Had nachos too, with their guac is so good. He went to work in the morning and he kind of left me to kind of do my thing. And I just did like a load of laundry. I'm only here for a few days because I wanted to spend time with Dad before our next pregnancy appointment. I'm so close to finishing my first trimester, and I feel like if you guys haven't noticed, like since I made the announcement, I took a step back from posting online because I was gonna come back posting, but I really wanted to just process the fact that I'm having a baby, my body's changing, connect with Dad too. And also my first trimester, especially earlier on, I was extremely fatigued. It was really hard for me to even finish chapter 3 of 1303 vlogs. Dad did say he's taking me out for lunch, and I think we're going to Brooklyn Museum today because I wanted to do something like touristy, because I feel like every time I've been in New York I haven't really done things that are like touristy. I wanted to do something like touristy, so I was like, oh, let's go to the Brooklyn Museum because I've never been. He kept saying to me like he just wants me to like have a really fun time in New York, so I'm treating this trip as like a little bit of, and he said he wants to take me to this like French cafe, I think, where they have croissants and stuff. And then he also said he wants to take me to Tiffany's. He keeps making jokes. He keeps randomly saying princess cut as a joke, but obviously it's a joke. I know it's a joke, but like he knows that like my shape is like if I ever wanted a ring, it would be princess cut.
And I actually was vlogging around this time. I don't think I posted this vlog, but I'm talking in this clip and I think there's like a crumb on my lip or something, so I never actually ever posted this footage. But I'm explaining to the camera that we are going to Tiffany's and I'm like super excited to go.
When he said we could go to Tiffany's, I was like, oh my god, stop, like just to like even just go, just because I think they have a new flagship store, and so even just to like go, just to like just look, just in the store, I'm excited because like I love Tiffany's, like stop, like oh my gosh.
because it was a new flagship store opening, I just thought this was like just something fun to do in the city. He always loved to support me in terms of like taking me around the city to like do fun things. I really appreciated that about him. I make that point to say New York City is very picturesque. It's very, very captivating for me anyway. And so there were times when I would love to get like shots of like the bridge or the highways, cars moving, like just like the city in general. And he would literally drive the long way home just so I could get really cool footage. I remember us spending Christmas together and he took me to Bryant Park so that I could like see the tree and just like experience New York the way that he has before. Guys, I'm so grateful that I'm here right now. And even driving there, I remember him like telling me to kind of stick my head out the roof of the car and film like the Christmas lights.
It's a lot.
Yeah, but this is so cringe. Can I move this back?
This shit costs a lot. Never
Okay,
seen
can
a
I just
bitch
do
up
this?
That's how you get shot.
In terms of like him supporting me to kind of create content, that was as far as it really went. I'm very much a homebody, very introverted, so sometimes it does require someone that is like interested to go out and do stuff to get me out of the house. We go to Tiffany's and we're looking around. We're going on all up and down all the floors. I'm looking at like jewelry that I want to get myself one day, or maybe get Maya, you know, just kind of like taking everything in. At one point I'm looking at plates and stuff like that, you know, just as a motivator for like the future one day, who knows. Get to the floor where all the jewelry is, and I remember he asks me if I want to go try on some rings. As soon as he asked me, I said no. I just didn't take him seriously. And so he said to me, no, come on, like just try a few rings, you never know, just like let's just try it, let's just go find out. We went over to like the ring section. An assistant kind of had to sit down while she got a few trays and stuff, and I told her what I liked. They came out with like sparkling water and stuff like that. We did a whole cheers thing, and I ended up trying on quite a few rings, and I've got fat fingers, so some of the rings didn't fit on my actual ring finger. They only fit on my pinky. There was one ring that I really just loved the look of, and he was having a look at it, and I asked him, do you like it? And he said yes.
Sandra is basically online. A lot of things I want from Sandra. I know.
You like that one?
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's so nice. After we finished looking at rings, he takes the person that was servicing us. While we were going through Tiffany's at the start, I genuinely was thinking that this was just like something to do. I saw the black Tiffany dress. He was taking pictures in front of statues. And I think I even tweeted about it at one point, because I was like, oh my gosh, like this is hilarious. I cannot believe this is even fucking happening right now. What I experienced at Tiffany's was that we looked at rings together. He took the jeweler's number and we left.
1.02. The other one was 1.
Sandra is basically online. A lot of things I want from Sandra. I know.
You like that one?
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's so nice. I text my group chat. I think I even mentioned it on social media or something like that. But that is what happened. That is something that happened. It wasn't like a fake made up situation or anything like that. We got back to the Airbnb, and I remember I was washing dishes one day and he randomly blurted out, I love you. I was very dismissive at the time because I used to find it really difficult to deal with like things regarding intimacy. He said, I love you. I said, I love you back. And after that, we had a pretty decent time together. We were bonding a lot, and he was bonding with the baby, rubbing tummy. Be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. Long as love has arrived, I thank God that I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I love you, baby. And if it's quite alright, I need you, baby, to you like that one? Yeah, because I'm not gonna tell him twice. Stop. Stop. Then you're gonna put milk in. Yeah, that's it. Perfect, honey. Okay, now you have to put more coffee because you put too much milk. You have to put more coffee in because you put too much milk. Babe, trust me. When I returned back to London, I noticed that my moods started to kind of deteriorate again. There was a period where I think I got indirected by the woman that had contacted me on social media. And I remember texting her from like an email address and just warning her that she needs to leave me and my family alone. Her response was pretty much that like, I need to move on because it's been a month or something like that. Like just a straight gaslight attempt. And I was like, what are you talking about? You was tweeting about me just a few days ago. When I look back, I just really wish I never ever even engaged with this woman. We had multiple conversations. If you wanted to hurt me, you wanted to harm me, you did that. Can you leave me alone now? Just stop. Like, you wanted things to be discreet. Just leave it alone. I would then get annoyed with my child's father because I was just like, what was it between you guys for her to be gunning me so hard? Did you lead her on? Did you give her impression that you really liked her, that you was gonna like, what was it? And because she had already told me that she wasn't really feeling him like that, I just kind of didn't understand why there was so much vim for me. And maybe it was because like we had spoken a few times, but it wasn't, I just didn't understand it. And at this point I was like, why didn't you just send that energy to him? Why are you keep trying to come for me and my kid? Like, I just didn't get that. I was staying with family and my mum was really, really finding it distressing to hear me so upset so much. And I guess she wanted to give me some advice, but the advice didn't land because it just wasn't said with like care. There was just like this huge wedge now with my family also, which further made me feel so isolated and alone. There is this breakdown with my family, which I'm not actually going to get into at all because there are other people involved in my family that completely deserve their privacy. So I'm not going to expand any more than I need to, but there is a breakdown. I end up staying with friends. So I completely move all my stuff out. And so my support network is completely like gone. My life at this point looked so horrible. I called the pregnancy helpline at my hospital that I was registered at, and I basically let them know that I was struggling with this idea that I just did not want to be here anymore. I just really didn't want to be here anymore. All I kept thinking about was all these hateful comments that were said towards my baby, and I just felt like I did not protect my child, and I literally felt like I didn't deserve to have her. I didn't deserve to be here. I just felt like I was a bad mom. I just kept thinking these thoughts non-stop. I had the worst mom guilt. I felt this like sadness, this really bad sadness. And the midwives kept telling me that your baby can feel everything that you feel. But I felt so sad and I felt so guilty for feeling sad. So I would try my best to be super, super happy, focusing on happy thoughts, but I was so sad. And one day I called the midwives and I let them know what I'm experiencing. These thoughts keep coming up. I don't want to be here anymore. And they just send the police out to try and find me. They're going everywhere. They're trying to find me everywhere. The police won't stop calling my phone and I'm like panicking because I'm like, they are gonna lock me away. I literally felt like I was going crazy and I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna lock me away. Like, Drea, control yourself. And mind you, I'm just like by myself at my friend's place. I was even scared to tell my friend because I didn't want like a whole heap of drama coming to her door. I remember I get on a phone call with a sergeant. I tell him basically like what I'm experiencing. His wife had gone through something similar. She was postpartum and he understood how I felt. I shouldn't be so harsh on myself and have judgment. Everyone just wants to kind of see if I'm okay. Because my friend lived in Vauxhall, I agreed to have the Vauxhall police come in and do a wellness check on me. This missing persons report is dropped. While I'm at my friend's place, rethinking about everything that happened. Like, I was like, how could someone say repeatedly disgusting things about my kid? And how could I have not defended my kid and done something about it? Like, why did I just let it slide? Why did I just let it go? Why did I listen to people telling me you have a brand, you have something to lose, like don't respond to this person? Like, why did I just let it slide? Like, I'm just not a good mum. I'm just not a good mum. I didn't protect my daughter. Why did I engage with this woman anyway? Things weren't adding up. Why did I give her so much time? I just kept thinking and thinking and thinking. At this point now, I was texting her from a place where it was just like, please, can you leave me alone? Like, I know you stalk me. I know you stay tweeting about me. Can you just please just leave me alone? And maybe it didn't read off like that, but gaslighting just kept continuing. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And I'm like, just stop. Just stop. Because the text messages and stuff like that was just getting lost in translation, I was like, I don't want to do it over text. I want to do it over a call. I didn't want anything to go left how things went left last time, because I was saying things and she was misinterpreting what I was saying. And also I want to say, I had contacted her from different numbers because during this period of my life, I changed my number quite a few times. So it wasn't like I was like picking up a new SIM card and calling her, picking up a new SIM card and then calling her. It was literally like, these were my numbers until they weren't. The only time I reached out to her like was via email and stuff, and obviously my former friend's phone. But other than that, like anytime I called her from my line, it was because I actually got a new number. So I think I had a new number at this point and we were going back and forth in text messages. At this point I was like, be mad at the man that hurt you. Be mad at the man that cancelled the trip. Be mad at the man that did you wrong. But I didn't do anything to you. Like, I actually didn't date you. So for me, I was just like, I just want to be left alone. And we hopped on a call. So much was said. And honestly, it felt like a gaslight fest. There was a narrative that I apparently had spoken to an ex of hers. And because I knew that did not happen, her ex cannot ever come out and say that he spoke with me on the phone. I was like, you are literally, like, that did not happen. I was like, your ex of all people, first of all, you have not even acknowledged anything you have done beforehand. And I really was like trying to hold her accountable for the things that she said about my child. I verbatimly said, I do not care about you saying the shit that you said to me. I don't care about the things that you necessarily say about Maya's dad. I think I remember saying to her that everyone knows children are off limits, and at the end of the day, what you said really hurt me. In that conversation, she apologized for saying things that really hurt me. She apologized. The conversation wasn't the greatest conversation, but she apologized to me, and even if I dismissed the apology, she responded back to me by saying, even if you don't accept this apology, I'm extending that to you. Because at this point, I was so irate, I said to her, it's not about apologies anymore. I just want you to leave me alone. I feel like a lot of people with some sort of a platform often have to ignore the projections of other people if they are feeling shit that day. Constantly. It's a constant thing that happens with celebrities, with influencers, with content creators, TikTokers, whatever. Like, people can say anything if you've got a platform, but if you clap back and your audience kind of joins in, then you're misusing your platform. I think a lot of the times trolls take advantage of the fact that people with platforms can't ever address them. And also as well, because she knew so much of my personal business, like, which I gave up to her, like my own doing, so naive, she was taking advantage of the fact that I couldn't respond even if I wanted to. And then it became this dance of like poking the bear and acting like you didn't, throwing rocks and hiding your hand. And it was like a true gaslighting session. Poke, poke, poke. And then, whoa, 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 I didn't do anything. Constantly. And it was driving me literally insane because I was like, I did not date you. I did not hurt you. I wasn't the one that lied to you. I wasn't the one that let you down. I wasn't the one that made you feel like crap. Why do you not have smoke for the person that hurt you? Why so much smoke for me? And so it wasn't even like I was trying to do up victim. I literally didn't understand. Even with the most recent thread of her just airing out everything, I still am really, really confused why she felt the need to bring my child into her vitriol for me. I don't understand the justification for coming for an innocent child. I kept asking myself throughout my pregnancy, what kind of person does this? What kind of person does this? Why did this have to happen? I just kept asking myself for the whole thing. And I just needed to take control of the situation. And so I confronted her and I approached her because it was actually mentally affecting me. Before my baby's even born, I felt like we already failed her. Until a friend turned to me and said, you are not to blame for what someone else says and does to your child. You are not to blame for, you cannot blame yourself for that. That is a reflection of their character. I'm not trying to escalate any situation or trying to like create more drama because I really just want to let the shit go. But I really need to give insight of what I was experiencing and what I was going through. This made me feel so sad and depressed. It was almost like the devil was pushing me more and more into making this decision to terminate my pregnancy. But I had already seen my baby and I already known that she was coming.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have someone that could fit into this soon. Like, so tiny. Especially when I'm like feeling low and stuff, I feel like my baby's love like uplifting me and keeping me going.
And right when I was at this place, I had another dream.
I know it's gonna be a girl. It's pink. This is pink. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's pink. And it's got hearts on it. I know my baby's gonna be a girl. and I have the name already, baby Maya. I'm even going back and forth with like Malia. I was thinking Malia, Malaya, and I like let him know, and he was like, no, Maya's the one. I was in New York and we were doing the scan, the gender scan for our baby, and I guess the doctor or the person that's doing the scan literally says in an American accent, it's a girl. For me, that was another reconfirmation that my baby was supposed to be with me. It was a reconfirmation from God to tell me to keep holding on. You know, I want to be honest with you guys, like, my first trimester, I really did not enjoy my first trimester. I feel like, obviously it's like a 3-month period. It's like a 3-month period. And I will say at the beginning, I was so excited. It was like so wonderful. And I genuinely think that there were so many changes that were going on, like in my personal life, pregnancy, hormones and changes. It doesn't help either. It almost feels like your body is like neglecting you and like betraying you to obviously host this new life that you have inside of you. All your energy that you usually have for yourself to like get through the day, it goes to your baby, and that's so beautiful. But it's also a very isolating feeling, because people mean the best, and it's true, you have to be thinking of you and your baby. But I was super hormonal, I was really moody, I was irritable, I was like really like low, like mentally. I cried a lot in my pregnancy, and especially when things were stressful for me, I was scared for myself, like mentally. I was really scared, and I love my baby more than life itself. I love my baby more than me. But I will be honest with you guys, like when I was feeling low, it was dark for me. It's upsetting because you think to yourself like pregnancy should be like the most beautiful time in your life. And what hurts even more is that you're going through, obviously, your body trying to take care of your baby. So mentally you don't have yourself that you can kind of like count on, because all your energy is going to your baby. So like, because you're like, you haven't been pregnant for long, and your friends and family are still adjusting, your partner too, it's just like you just feel so isolated. And I'm not gonna lie, I expressed this to my midwife recently. I felt so let down by my midwives and stuff, because I kind of let them know that my mental health wasn't okay. Like, I remember week 7, I told them like, I'm not feeling good, and they just kind of was just like, okay, we'll get you onto a therapist. But like, things got really bad for me, especially when things in my personal life got very stressful. I feel like that's a lot to share, but I want to share that, because if you are or you have gone through that, like, I get you and I so understand. And there was a day where my mental health was like being pushed like badly, and I called my hospital, I called my midwives to like get some understanding on like, is this normal, like in pregnancy, is this common? Like, I need some insight, because I feel very stressed right now, and I'm by myself, and I'm worried. And because they were like worried about me, they did this whole like missing person thing. So like the police were like looking for me for like a day. I'm not even there anymore, but they went to like find me at like my sister's place in London. They was like going to my friend's place, and like the sergeant I spoke to was just like, my my wife went through this. They had to do like a wellness check on me, and so the police actually had to check in on me, like see me in person, because my hospital like escalated this to like the highest degree. And the woman police officer that actually came to check in on me, she was like, she had like her experience with like postnatal depression, and so, and I think the woman police officer I spoke to earlier had postpartum depression, and so they were just giving me advice like, it's very common. The reason why I'm even sharing all of this is because year or two I've been like super scared to like have a conversation with my dad, and he found out that I haven't been feeling good. Life hasn't been like, my pregnancy's been hard, like, and I feel like it's genuinely God, because he came to like, you know, see me, and he was just so loving to me. And I was so scared to see him for so long, because I just felt like I'd been feeling like piled on. I just felt like he was gonna pile on top of me, and he just made me feel like, don't let anyone judge you, don't let anyone give you a hard time, you just be good for yourself, you're a fighter, you get through anything. And honestly, that is the support I needed in that moment. And I'm just so grateful to God, because like I'm ready to start like a new chapter in my life. And honestly, the only thing that kind of like makes me like super happy is just like knowing how much I love my baby, and like I can already feel the love that my baby has for me, and that itself is just all I need. It's crazy as well, because like I posted my first trimester vlog, and my sister Precious reached out to me and was like checking in on me and stuff. And I don't know, I just don't want to like bombard people with shit right now. I think that any woman that was in the circumstances that I was in, especially with where my mental health was at, I know some women might have made a decision which would probably be the best decision for them, of course, but I knew that I really, really wanted my child, and I really, really believed that things were gonna get so much better.